Hey everybody, welcome back to Brown Mint Horror's Behind the Horror segment. This is Jesse, and we are on episode 17, bringing episode 17 to you today. We have with us the cast and crew of a 2022, I'm guessing released horror thriller called Shatter. Going around checking everybody out. And for those of you listening, you might not be able to see this, but to my top left, we have our writer and director, Chris Schwartz. Chris, say hello.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going great. So glad you're here. We'll work on our segues too as we do this. The bottom left hand corner, we've got one of the stars of the show. He plays our detective Matthews. This is Bob Strouse. Bob, how are you today, sir?
I'm well. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us. And in the bottom right, grayed out, hidden, just like in the film, we have Scott.
Almost. Hey, thanks.
Scott, hello.
Great. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Just got done watching the film, as I said, in the lobby. Loved it. I made it several notes here, a few things that stuck out that we've all laughed at so far. We'll get into those real quick, everybody. I just want to go through some more kind of like deep dive into these introductions real quick. Our writer-director, Mr. Chris Schwartz here. I'm going to pull up read a little bit about him. Let's see here. So, Chris, looks like you've directed several things here recently with Shatter, The Red Cell, Containment, The Crawl Space. And then you've got some writing credits as well for Shatter, obviously. 9/11, a short from 2009. Obviously, Red Cell again, Containment and Crawl Space. Looks like you did writing, directing credits on all of those. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. How'd you get involved in doing all this?
Started early, grabbed a camera. My dad had an old kind of Sony camera way back in the day, and just a home video thing. Yeah. And they were actually doing some construction in a field close to our house, and I filmed it, and they were blasting at the time. And it was pretty cool because you got to see like the whole earth erupt and giant mushroom cloud and all that fun stuff. Took it home. I was like the only one there, showed my friends and family, and just like saw the like whoa on their face and surprise and how cool it looked and everything.
Right on.
And I think, yeah, from that day I was like hooked. I was like, I got to make movies because I want to transfer these stories that I've always been like a storyteller. I've always had a passion for that. And I wanted to transfer that, the same emotions that I felt when I wrote these stories to the people who were reading them. I wanted to do that visually. And I was like, film's got to be the way to do it. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it.
Awesome, man. Well, I can tell just by looking at this film that I think you take your work seriously, but not yourself. Like, I think you intend to have fun. I think you want the people around you to have a great time. And I think it translates on screen, sir. So, right, Director Chris Schwartz, thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of this podcast. We're going to move on down to Mr. Bob Strouse, who, like I said, plays our lead Detective Matthews. And Bob, looks like you've worked with Chris on another project in addition to Shatter, the Red Cell. How did you get involved working with Chris?
It started one day when, this is years ago. I got an email from Chris saying that he found my, wait for it, MySpace page.
Yeah.
Saying that I had the look he was looking for a small part in a film. And I kind of thought to myself, like, I have a look. But
he's got the look.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it was a small part. I played a doctor in the Red, or was it the Red Cell? Yeah. I could barely remember the lines. I felt like I was terrible. But apparently Chris didn't think so, because he invited me back for a couple other projects that we did. We did some short films. In fact, hey Chris, that storage unit place that we used for that short film, I actually currently am renting a space in that space. So every time I go in to drop things off in my storage locker, I kind of think about that night and how much fun it was. But yeah, that's how I got. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
I kind of got involved through that, just kind of dumb luck, and it just kind of a hobby kind of thing. And it ended up blossoming into this role in Shatter, which it was a lot of work, but I'm glad we did it. It's like a feather in my cap, so to speak. And it actually did turn out to be a pretty decent film. I mean, considering we had no money. Yeah. So, I mean, all parties involved, we all chipped in, and we made a pretty decent low/no budget horror movie.
Yeah.
Something to be proud of.
Sometimes it's not just, I mean, you could have the biggest budget in the world, but if you don't have folks that are driven, like a director that's driven, that has a vision, and you have actors who are willing to put forth the effort, it doesn't really matter, because those attitudes are going to transpose onto the screen. And I'd much rather see a honest performance, someone giving it their all, than, a bunch of CGI or, extra budget things and stuff like that. So with Shatter, I think you guys were able to show that off. Low budget, sure, but we had a great story, and I think we had some pretty awesome delivery on a lot of points. So moving right along here, we've got Scott Geider playing Dr. Vandenberg, the one who's in the shadows the majority of the time. Scott, tell us a little bit about your career. How did you get involved with these jokers?
Well, my career started as a podcaster in 2010. I'd review movies and do interviews, very similar to what you've done. And I went to Long Island, New York for a movie role, my first one as a bartender. And I just got back from Long Island, and I get an email from Chris, and it said, "Hey, we heard your voice in your podcast. We would love to have you as Dr. Vandenberg for Shatter." I said, "Oh, cool. Well, it's voiceover again. Cool." Well, it turned out that I also had lines too, and I was very excited about that. I mean, I had lines before, but it was nice to be able to do both, voice and acting. So I made a 3-hour trip from my house up to where we shot this. I tell you what, I think Shatter, after shooting my scenes with my patient, I think that was probably the best experience at the time of shooting any film, because Chris has a knack of making you feel comfortable, traveling that far and never met him before. And, I had no warning. I had my lines for me. It might've been like, what, 2 or 3 weeks, Chris, something like that. Yeah. So shooting that film was the best experience at that time, that when I left that set, I felt like an actor, you know what I mean? Because the role that I had was meaningful, and I love the way it was shot. I actually watched the film about 3 months ago, and it sounds stupid me saying this, but I think it's one of my best performances of the time, of seeing myself, how he filmed that, how he cut it, and how it ended up being. I think it was one of the most amazing experiences I ever had. Now, that being said, I'm also a producer, as you can see, on tons of films on IMDb. I'm always invested in producing films with people, and I have my own work after Shatter. But Shatter, to this day, I think Shatter is my best favorite film that I've done besides the Hillbilly Horror Show, honestly.
The Hillbilly Horror Show, that's one to put down and check out for sure.
I think I'm going to have to watch that tonight.
Yeah.
Just by the name.
Well, I play a character of Cephas, who the gag was I mumble, and my buddy understands me. But me being a podcaster, it's hard not to speak words. So
yeah, exactly.
Eventually, after 4 volumes, it almost ended up on TV. It almost, not quite. It was almost a sitcom. We just lost out by a hair. But I remember the first day that we shot that. It was February. It was cold out. I had to go in my underwear, because if you watch the beginning of the trailer, you'll see me with my doctor's coat on, and all you see is my legs and all. That was actually me in the cold. It was a really fun time, but that led to my second favorite besides Shatter. And I just, it's just a fun thing to be able to meet people for the first time and to be able to have that chemistry. And Bob, look, I never met you, Bob, but watching you in that film and our interaction, even though we never met on the phone and all, the film was just amazingly put together that someday, Bob, I will come up and see you. We will meet and we'll go out for dinner or something, because I never got a chance to work with you, but it's just a great experience on Shatter. I can't say enough, really. Chris did a great job.
Thank you.
For sure. So let's do this. So looking at our little itinerary here, we have introduced ourselves and we have made sure give a little backstory. Who's up for some horror trivia?
Let's do it.
Is anybody gonna just go ahead and lay claim that they're the champion already, or is no? Okay,
I'm gonna volunteer Scott. Yeah.
All right. So the first one to 3 points. You get a point for each question right. First one to 3 points wins. We will let Dr. Vandenberg pick the decade the questions would come from, though.
Oh, definitely the 80s. Come on.
All right, we're picking 80s. Okay.
Yeah, that works for me. If you go any later, no.
Oh, we can make it work. All right. Let's see here. So, how do we answer? How do we know who rang in first, right? Well, this is going to be a little bit difficult typically, because we would just tell you to shoot your arm up. But because we can't see Scott, that makes things just a hair bit difficult. So, how about we just go around and we'll see who the first one gets 3 questions right.
There we go.
We'll try that. All right. Starting with our writer-director, Chris Schwartz. Question number 1. And if you don't get it, it'll just go around to Bob. And if he doesn't get it, it'll go to Scott. All right. Stanley Kubrick directed what 1980 adaptation of a Stephen King novel?
Shining.
All right.
Chris, easy question.
I know it was a softball. Okay, here we go.
I need it.
Question 2 is going to Bob. Nope, read that one. Sam Raimi made his feature film directorial debut with what movie?
Not a clue. Don't know that name. Sorry.
Sam Raimi. Scott, we're going to go into you. Same question. Sam Raimi made his feature film directorial debut with what film?
Honestly, it's a movie that I hate. I think it's The Evil Dead.
You are 100% correct. So the score, for those keeping count, 1-1, our writer-director, Chris, and Scott, Dr. Vandenberg. Bob is with a goose egg. We're getting on the plate for sure. All right, back to Chris. Chris's second question. George Romero directed what Stephen King anthology?
Stephen King anthology.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Okay.
I'm going to know it when I hear it, but.
Mr. Bob, you want to give it a shot?
I'm a huge Stephen King fan, but that one's eluding me. Maybe we're talking about the 80s now, so maybe I'm just too old. I can't remember.
All right, we're gonna give this one to Dr. Vandenberg. Scott Geider, let's do it.
God, it had a dual directors on it too. Oh, damn it.
Is this gonna strike everybody out?
Probably. I know what it is. I can't remember the title. I don't know.
All right. The answer was Creep Show, ladies and gentlemen. Creep Show.
Okay.
We all know it.
Man. I forgot that was a Stephen King thing.
So did I.
Yes, sir. All right, Here we go. Back to Chris. Sigourney Weaver received her first Academy Award nomination for her role in what movie?
Aliens.
Pardon?
Aliens?
That is correct. So Chris has got 2 on the board. All right, Bob, you've got to get this next question, buddy. The Coreys, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, starred in what 1987 vampire film?
You know this one, Bob.
Oh yeah. Oh geez. I know this film. I swear I just looked at the DVD in the dollar bin at the grocery store the other
Cry,
day.
little sister.
Yeah. Oh jeez.
Gerard McMahon.
Yeah, I got to pass. I can't. It's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember the damn name.
All right, Mr. Scott.
The Lost Boys.
Lost Boys.
Damn it.
Probably hands down the best damn saxophone performance of any individual ever.
Any
is in that film.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a story about the Lost Boys. I did interview Gerard McMahon, who sang the Cry Little Sister.
Yeah.
And off the air, I can tell you guys a lot of stories about behind the scenes of that movie. I can tell you.
That sounds fantastic.
I can tell you actually who they wanted to sing that song besides him, and you're not going to believe it would never have worked. But I'll tell you afterwards.
Nice. All right. So what are we looking at? 2-2, Chris and Scott?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're back to Chris. All right, Chris. Next question. Let's see here. What 1987 film gave us the line, Wolfman's got nards?
Oh my God.
Yeah, baby. Come
I
on.
don't remember that one.
You got it.
It wasn't American Werewolf in London, was it?
No. Bob, getting on the board?
I want to say Teen Wolf.
No, but we keep knocking on that door. We keep knocking on that door. Scott,
Oh my God.
to win it.
Oh. 1987, huh? A werewolf movie, 87. Oh my God. Howling? No. Maybe Howling. Howling 2 or 3, one of them.
Wrong. No. This is a tricky one because it's not just a werewolf movie. It was called The Monster Squad.
I was going to say that Monster Squad.
Oh,
Dang it.
wow.
They couldn't use the licensing for like Dracula and Frankenstein and such, so they were all different little things. Mhm. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is getting interesting. All right, back to Chris. Chris could win it with this next question, or it could get Bob right on the board. Here we go. Are we ready?
Yes, we are.
All right. Let's see. What movie marks the first on-screen appearance of Dr. Hannibal Lecter?
I know the movie. I can't remember the title now.
We passing?
I think so. I can't remember the title. I know exactly what movie it is.
All right.
Silence
Bob?
of the Lambs.
No, not Silence of the Lambs.
I may be mistaken, but I remember this as Manhunter.
You got it. Yes,
Whoa,
Bob
I
is
got
on
one.
the board. Yes. All right. So for those keeping count, Chris is at 2. Bob has made it onto the board with 1. Scott has got 2. Scott could go and win it right here. Let's see here.
Put all of us out of our misery.
He could, or he could just keep going. This could be the whole podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
I could play dumb and keep it going, right?
Right. David Cronenberg has a cameo as a gynecologist in what 1986 film?
Oh my God. That I don't know. I'm not a Cronenberg fan, really. No, I don't know.
All right. Chris, do you know? For the win?
No, I don't.
Bob? Okay. The Fly.
Clueless.
Oh, I was going to say, did he also direct it? Because that would have been my guess. But
All right. We're going to go. Let's see here. Let's go. Weird Al's song Nature Trail to Hell was inspired by Friday the 13th 3 and this 1983 slasher film. Nature Trail to Hell. I think we're on
Bob.
Yeah, we're on Bob at this point.
1983 slasher film.
And it inspired the song Nature Trail.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the song. It's the Halloween. Halloween was like 79 or 78. I don't know. Pass.
Scott?
I'm going to go on a whim here and say Sleepaway Camp.
You know, there's a lot of films he could have said, but he said the right one. Sleepaway Camp. Mr. Scott Geider is our winner of horror trivia, pulling out Sleepaway Camp. Fantastic. Woo! I don't have any sirens or anything. You know, or like the club sounds. No. Yeah, that I don't have that.
Confetti.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. So getting into the film Shatter, let's just take it from here. In a couple of sentences, writer-director Chris Schwartz, tell us what Shatter is about.
Yeah, it's a mix of things. It's a psychological journey, I guess, about a detective who's trying to solve a murder. And he has one suspect, and that suspect is a psycho, schizophrenic. And basically, they kind of tag team through. The schizophrenic gives him some clues, and then he kind of follows through with that, and everything kind of gets all twisty and wild. It's really not a linear story, and so we kind of take the viewers through this journey of enlightenment, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the inspiration to make Shatter, like to maybe film this way, or this kind of story?
Yeah, so I think I went through a David Lynch phase and was watching a lot of his movies, and you can see there's a ton of shout outs in this movie from that, a lot of inspiration from that. And I guess the way his stories kind of come together as a puzzle, and you're not really sure what's going on and things like that. So I really was inspired by that and was like, I'd love to do this wacky film and try and make it a little bit different. But I think in my mind, I think I toned it down a lot because you can kind of follow the story. It just takes a little bit of effort. And I think, as you know, I'd been making films for quite a long time, and I wanted to do something really ambitious on no budget. I kind of founded Rig Glass Studios to like really help actors out who were, who haven't really done anything, or maybe people who wanted to try acting and see what it was like, kind of a thing. And I knew that this would be way a lot for us to handle, but was something that, I kind of got bit by the bug and was like, we should give it a roll and try something ambitious, do a full feature film with a ton of locations and more actors than I've ever worked with and things like that. So that was kind of the inspiration behind the whole thing.
Cool. It's funny you mentioned David Lynch, because I see that. I see also, some bits of, anybody who goes and watches this is going to say, oh man, that kind of, I see a little bits of Memento or Seven or things like that are in it. And going to Bob real quick, some of these scenes, you mentioned that it is kind of like a puzzle, and and that had for a film like this, a comedy is one thing, or just a straight horror, but a puzzle piece type thriller, did you find it a little more difficult to like keep all of that together, to keep the content all together when filming, to make sure you told the best story and stuff?
Not really. I didn't have much of a struggle with it because Chris did a really good job. And obviously you film a movie out of order, and just going into every scene before we started filming, Chris gave me a good synopsis of, where we were in the story during that scene and how I should be handling the events in the scene, so to speak. You know, because there are times in the film where, you know, the mental health is questionable on my character, Detective Matthews. So, you know, Chris had to tell me, like, in this scene, he's not very stable. But,
Right.
you know, in this other scene that we filmed 3 weeks later, which actually happens earlier in the movie, he's a normal guy. So, you know, you had to kind of go with the lead, so to speak.
There's a scene where it actually made me laugh. There's a scene where you're interrogating the individual who we feel like did this murder, and you're I guess you were stirring your coffee cup, like stirring your coffee, and like you kept like shaking the pieces of coffee like off of the spoon. Oh my god, dude. Like that was hilarious.
That was Chris's idea. I had so much fun making that.
Well, you just keep seeing these little spittles of coffee on his face.
Yeah, the actor Mercer, who played oh my god, I can't remember the character's name now. David, yes. The actor who played him, I after every time we shot that, because you know you shoot every scene 100 times, but I think I apologized to Mercer after every flick. Like, yeah, and cut. I'm sorry, Mercer.
Chris, is he calling you a Kubrick? Are you making these guys film, you know, each scene like 150 times?
Oh yeah,
something like that.
Yep.
Bob
will be the next Shelley Duvall.
Yeah, it's like we only have one camera, so sometimes...
Yeah, and that was part of it, you know, and that's the thing though. I was flexible with that because of the fact that we only had one camera, and you really do want to film something 10 times so you get 3 good ones that you can then go back to 3 days later when you're doing editing and actually have an objective opinion when you're seeing it not through the lens of the camera but on the screen. Yeah. So you know, I totally understood and bought into all of those long nights that we did on one scene, only because I knew the reasons why, you know. So, and I really did want the end product to be the best thing we could have possibly done.
Speaking of edits and shots, there's one in particular that sticks out to me. It was the transition shot from the office to his front door, from like his cubicle area, and then like I guess like he goes through the door, and then like if all of a sudden he's at his house. Yep. I thought that was a great transition, especially with all the mental stuff that's going on, that's, you know, being shown. Can you tell us what you're trying to, you know, what kind of vibe you're trying to give from that?
Yeah, I mean, exactly as you described it. It's like I said, this movie had a ton of different locations. We're definitely not used to doing that. Most of the time it's been like one film, one location. So this was an opportunity to really branch out, but then you had to segment to each location, and each scene, we designed it to be like short little scenes in each location so that we could just get it done in one day. And so, but between each one, it was creative process trying to figure out how to get us from one scene to the next scene. So I think through that, there were a lot of interesting devices we used to kind of cut between them. And I think that's probably one of my favorite ones. I wanted to kind of like run out of the office and run into his house. Yeah. And it just like everything in between is like, what happened, you know? And it was cool.
So with, what was the amount of time budgeted out for filming, this? Because you sound like you had things planned really well, like you had things really organized. So what was that? And everybody else can speak up too on this, you know, to attest to like, you know, how things were structured. But what was the time frame like on shooting?
We expected, I think, like 42 weeks, because I think there were 42 individual scenes, and the deal was that we were going to just try and knock one scene out a week. Again, everybody was volunteer, and you know, life happens and everything else goes on, so it didn't always work that way. And sometimes we try and cram like 3 shoots into a weekend, and just show up 2 days in a row and have like 2 long 16-hour days, shoot from sun up to sundown. We did that a couple times to just knock a bunch out in itself. So, I mean, yeah, it ended up taking 2 or 3 years to do all the principal photography. And then we had some reshoots and things like that. But yeah, I mean, you know, obviously the goal you never meet when you're in kind of that random situation, but we did our best and we got through it.
Nice. As an actor, Bob, over the course of 3 years, you know, kind of being married to this one role, did you find it difficult to come back like different weekends or, you know, out of sync or whatever, instead of shooting it kind of like all straight?
No, not really. I tend to be pretty flexible with things in life. So, you know, as Chris pointed out, life happens. You know, when we first all agreed to do this project, we kind of said, it's probably going to take about a year. And the year went by and we were about a third through it. And at that point, you know, what were we going to do? Say, this is taking too long, I'm going to quit. No, I'm going to see it through. And that's what we did. And, you know, and here we are now, and it's finally getting out, and it's turning into a wonderful thing that we did.
Scott, have any of friends, family seen the film, and where's it streaming at currently?
Well, I work at a T-Mobile. I'm a system manager, so I have a lot of customers that will come in there, and I'll just casually just say, hey, there's a movie, Shatter, you can check out. Came out February 4th. I'm in it. And they've been promoting the movie. Believe it or not, customers will come in and say, hey, we saw the movie, we bought it, and we love it. So it kind of helps out as far as, it kind of helps out as far as selling phones and getting new customers. So I use Shatter to my advantage to, my job is advantage to get Shatter bought and seen. So yeah, I mean, they'll come in and say, hey, we saw it again, we watched it again, and it's a great movie. I said, well, thank you. I said, if you only knew how long it took to make that movie, you make your head spin, because a lot of people who are not in the industry think that, Chris knows, you know, that they think if a movie's made, it's shot in one time and it's shot in 2 weeks and it's done. I said, no, this is 10 years in the making. The voiceover scenes that I've done with Chris was like, what, 3.5 years after we shot my scene. We did it, and it was like, it was fun. I mean, it's like, I was so impatient waiting for this movie to come out. And no, I wouldn't say impatient, but I was really excited that when it does come out, that I want to really see and check this movie out. And it's a great experience. I mean, customers are like digging it. They're telling people and they're coming in. So hopefully we get some more sales.
Awesome. Chris, did you have a physical media release for Shatter?
Yes, we did. Yeah. Sorry, I should have.
Oh, fantastic. Obviously you can see this is the wall that I stand in front of and stuff like that. Still got VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray on there, soon to be 4K. Are any of you still physical media collectors?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Bob, you got away from it. You don't want to move that crap to your new house.
No,
is the whole reason Bob got out of it.
I stream everything. I do still have a handful of old DVDs that I bought, 20, 25 years ago that were iconic films. I own the Lord of the Rings collection, the director's cut, certain things like that, things I got for a birthday present. But as far as the idea of having the 300 CDs and DVDs, and in fact, today I was at a yard sale this morning, and they had a box of VHS tapes, and I suggested they take those to the Smithsonian. And then I also asked them if they actually have a VCR that works, that will play them, and they said no. So
I feel attacked right now because there are 2 VCRs in my home.
They work.
They both work.
Good for you, man. How are you pulling that off?
They're you clean them up, you spray a little can air in them. They always work.
Man, I've had my hands inside of those kind of machines more often than I can count. So
yeah, my theory on physical media is I think that it saw its day, and I think if you're lucky enough to have some cool stuff, hang on to it. But to go out and buy new,
yeah, exactly.
It's really difficult. Like this top shelf here is all Criterion collection films, and they have a sale like twice a. Those things are expensive as crap, man. But the quality on something that's of that nature, I mean, you pay for that, but even still, I've gotten way less films here these days. there's only so many times you can buy Halloween, you know?
Yeah.
And at this point, I just saw an article today. They're like, yeah, in anticipation of the new film, they're going to be releasing Halloween Kills on 4K Ultra Edition Steelbook. Well, I've got to go spend that $40 and get that. That's what they want you to do. No,
but then you've got to spend you additionally have to spend the $300 on the machine that'll play it in that resolution.
Right.
And, you know, it's like, it becomes this building. And you made a good point there. How many times can you buy the same thing? Because ultimately, it's what's coming out of your display that you are consuming. So you're just repackaging it and selling it again. And I even had that epiphany at one point where, you know, I think I was buying Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon on my, I think, third media format. And I kind of thought to myself, I need to stop doing this. It's $20 a pop. You know,
I think that it's this illusion of quality, like you know, there isn't you know, there's not a real big reason to have ultra 4K on a lot of these flicks that came out.
Yeah,
you know, I don't need ultra 4K edition of Jim Carrey's Liar Liar. Okay. I'm not watching it for the cinematic, you know, photography. Okay. God, that's probably my favorite Jim Carrey movie, by the way. If anybody wants to go around and talk about their favorite Jim Carrey film, next to The Cable Guy, those two are my favorite. Cable Guy, man, is so underrated. It's almost a thriller in itself.
It's a dark comedy. It's really dark.
It's slept on, man. I've got friends that have never seen it.
Gets obsessed with another guy, and like that's really a scary thing.
Oh yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Well, check this out. I want to go to our next little segment here. We skipped snacks because I don't have any snacks to show off. If anybody brought a snack to the set today, great. You can show it off, but I didn't.
Does beer count?
Beer does absolutely. What do you got? Apricot.
Oh, I remember that.
This is
Otto's?
A local product. Otto's is a microbrewery here in State College, Pennsylvania, and this is one of their products. It's an apricot wheat. It's a wheat beer made with apricots, just like the name, and it is delightful. It's a great summertime afternoon. You can drink a number of them to quench your thirst and not get hammered because it's a low alcohol count. You know,
nice.
It's really good beer. So
now Pennsylvania, that's where the film was shot, right?
Yes.
Any particular locations you want to speak of about that, or was it in around any kind of landmark city? Or
well, we did film at an old match factory, actually, that they kind of, I guess it was around the 1800s, and through one of our colleagues there, Mercer, who actually plays in the film, he got us access to that location. So, I mean,
nice.
It was really awesome, but they did a lot of renovations to it. So there were some like modern areas and then some like still really old 1800s original. But it's a beautiful, I mean, I've shot a lot of films there just through him, but a really beautiful location all around for that kind of stuff.
And nice, just for point of reference, the scene that you mentioned earlier where Detective Matthews was flicking the coffee on David.
Yeah, everybody needs to check that particular scene out for sure.
That was filmed in a room in the match factory.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So the interrogation room, was in the match track. Okay, cool.
Yep. In the very, very beginning scene, where Mercer is in the school, before he walks into the classroom, was filmed in the hallway there as well. So yeah.
Man, these transition shots are fantastic. you did such a great job. So
hey, just real quick before you move forward, I'll just give you a little information on that match factory. It's in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania. It's a historic building. So you might want to look it up and, get a little information about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a really, really interesting building.
Do a behind the scenes tour.
Yeah.
Or a location. That's pretty cool. Well, cool. Let me move on to this segment right here. I call it current viewings. So one of the things with actors and filmmakers that I've noticed is you stay pretty much watching stuff all the time. Actors will watch, films, obviously. Filmmakers, I've got one that I interviewed. He had a 2 film a day regimen. Like that's pretty exhaustive, but I guess doable. So with current viewings, we'll go around here. Chris, what is there anything in particular you've watched here recently that just blew you away?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I've watched a whole lot that just blew me away recently. I've kind of been binge watching a lot of random things.
Hey, me too, man. What you watching these days?
Well, actually, one thing that did, I think, blow me away was the latest season of Stranger Things. That was pretty awesome.
I haven't seen a single episode.
Really? That's like everything switched around for me there. I think they went to a new place. It's growing up. The season's growing up and getting older and getting more mature, and they did a lot of awesome things in that.
I have heard Stranger Things is amazing, and I have heard that it takes about on average 2 to 3. By episode 3 of the first season, you're pretty much hooked.
Yeah,
you're kind of roped in. Bob, what about yourself? What have you been watching?
Honestly, I'm not much of a TV guy. Okay. I watch the news to an extent, and I watch some sports, and then I play video games. But I will piggyback on what Chris said about Stranger Things. That's the one thing I have been watching in the most recent season, only because my son is watching it and I like to spend time with him. So we've been watching, and I will say that Stranger Things definitely has grown up, and they have become more like, Chris, I think you'll appreciate this comparison. It's more like Hellraiser light at the moment.
Okay.
We just watched the last episode last night, or maybe it was the night before. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty good.
Nice. I had the pleasure of interviewing someone from Stranger Things 4 here recently.
Really?
He had a very small, he had a small role. They called him up for, did it. His name was Joe Grisafi. His one-on-one interview will be posted here probably the next couple weeks. At the time of this interview, in the next couple weeks, probably. But I think he started out as an extra on Austin Powers, the first one. And he's just went on up from there. He's a great guy. Turned me on to a great snack, popcorners. Check your local gas station for them. They're fantastic. It's like it's like popcorn. It's like chips, but made out of popcorn.
Oh.
Different flavors, salt and vinegar, kettle corn, so if you like sweet and salty. Anyways, check those out. Scott,
that sounds like something that could break or tear a seam in the universe's space-time continuum. Yeah, chips made out of popcorn? What?
Yeah.
Something's not natural there.
No, definitely not, but they're fantastic. I'm telling you, drink that with some your beverage of choice, you'll eat the whole bag for sure. Scott, talk to me real quick. What are you watching these days?
Well, you're talking about Joe Christofi from Texas, correct?
Yeah.
He's from Texas, right? Yeah, I know him very well. I've seen a bunch of his films he's made. So as a reviewer, as you know, I get screeners out of the butthole to review, which I'm so far behind. But if I'm going to go towards newer, popular films, I would say the new Halloween that I watched, I thought was impressive to the fact that, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but there's one scene towards the end where his mask was off and he actually had gray hair.
Yes.
For the character of Michael Myers, I think it makes sense that all these years later, even though I go from the first one to second one. Now you have to bypass HU because it makes no sense because she died in the next one after that. So I go with the first two and the last two they made. But that was impressive as far as they actually made it look more realistic to Michael Myers' character obviously isn't realistic because many times he's been shot. But when I had him shown the gray hair, I thought was brilliant. And the new Chainsaw Massacre one that I watched, I thought I liked it. I liked the really gruesome, vicious kills. But once again, how is Leatherface able to run like that at 80 years old or 70 years old?
Yeah.
But if you skip that part of it, it's entertaining as hell, especially at the end of the movie with that one girl. But you know, I try to watch as much as I can, but the Stranger Things I have not watched. I'm just like you. Everyone says how great it is. Everyone in the house watches it, but I just have no interest. I don't know why. Maybe it's because time consuming, whatever. But I've, you know, movies come, movies go, but I see a lot. And if I would stand here and tell you everyone I've seen will be here for 29 years, but
Right.
you know, yeah. So there you go.
Well, I didn't. I'll tell you something else I didn't care for was the Stephen King's It, the new one that they made. These new ones.
They're too damn long. 3 hours long. That was. I have patience for that shit.
Well, I think for me it was more of along the lines of like, this is Stranger Things.
That's what I say.
With another plot.
That's what I say. That's why I won't watch it.
Maybe that's why I thought it was so good. I was like, these are really wild.
If for nothing else, though, it was first. So Stranger Things would be like it.
Yeah.
But man, I love the OG, the miniseries that came on ABC Family, man. Like, I need my John Ritter.
Yeah.
And what's his name? John Boy from
the guy that played John Boy. And
Richard Thomas.
Yep.
The redhead was played by, wasn't it played by the woman who was Beverly D'Angelo in Star Trek: The Next Generation? I may be mistaken. Maybe it wasn't.
The girl? No, Annette O'Toole.
Oh, okay, yeah. Sorry, wrong actress.
Yeah,
it's been a long time since I saw that one.
But man, I used to watch that every weekend at my grandparents' house. That tells you how I grew up. Current watchings for myself. Let's put the spotlight on me for just a sec. So current watchings, really, I'm kind of like Scott, except my Halloween that I watched here recently was the TV cut. Found this on DVD up at McKay's in Nashville, Tennessee.
No kidding.
12 minutes of footage that was shot whenever they decided to put it on the TV in the 80s. They went back and shot some stuff before, I guess, during the time that they were doing the second one.
To try and clean it up, I guess.
Clean it up. They give one of the scenes is Dr. Loomis being interviewed by two doctors at Smith's Grove, and then he goes into Michael's room, tells him that you fooled them all, but you haven't fooled me, kind of vibe. A couple other things, but I actually dig this cut. They should make it canon. But been watching that, and then the other thing is I'm really big into documentaries right now, and this one here is fantastic if you've never seen it. Jesus Camp.
Oh,
wow, I can imagine.
Fantastic documentary.
I assume that's about religious cults.
Yeah, it's almost as scary as Halloween.
Yeah, I bet.
I check that.
Don't get me started elaborating.
That's a whole other podcast, which I would be totally down to talk to.
Call me anytime.
We get to our final segment here, and once again, thank you, gentlemen, all for being on. Our final segment here is our motivational segment. It's where I'd like to go around and have each of you kind of give some boost or some pointers to anyone that's out there who's thinking about starting a podcast, being a filmmaker, being an actor. What would you say to them? And Chris, our director and writer, I'll start with you, sir.
Yeah, I would say surround yourself with people who are as passionate about it as you are. I mean, I think that makes it fun. It makes it interesting. It makes it more exciting. And, as long as they have that, the stamina to get through it, I think it always turns out better. And it's just, it shows through in the final product. And so I think that's just a huge piece of advice. I did that with basically everything that I've started in filmmaking, was just get the actors, find the ones who are really passionate, find the people who would do crew passionately, all working together to put something like this out. And so I'd say that's probably my key piece of advice in that.
Awesome. Bob, what about yourself, man?
I don't have any specific advice about any of those categories you mentioned necessarily, but just kind of a general overall. Always challenge yourself. If you find you've become, I'm going to get a little outside of, but you'll understand the meeting. If you find that you've become the smartest person in the room, it's time for you to change rooms. Surround yourself with people who will bring out the best in yourself, and you will succeed just by proxy. And that really applies to this type of thing, the entertainment business, the filmmaking business, the music industry, that kind of thing. Because if you sit on your hands, you're never going to get any better. And you might think you're the best right now, but there's somebody out there that's better than you. So you have to, just
grind, put the work
keep
in.
going after it, I guess. Sorry.
Right on.
Man, I thought Bob's advice would be get a MySpace account and wait for somebody to email you and invite you to be in a film.
As toxic as Facebook has become, I have considered going back to my
going backwards.
I just have to remember my password. It's still out there.
Let's hear from Dr. Vandenberg, Scott Geider.
As a podcaster, when you do it for so long, you got people emailing you and saying, "Hey, how do you do a podcast?" There's three things, and you can vouch for me here. Keep it real. Be yourself, make it your own material. And eventually you're always going to improve because you're always going to find ways to make it better, but don't be afraid to do it. And you have to have the platforms in order to promote yourself. It's a hell of a lot easier now doing podcasts. There's more platforms when I started in 2010, because it really wasn't as much as it is now, right? As far as acting, a lot of people think that they have to go to acting school to be an actor. I never went to acting school whatsoever. I did it in high school for a little bit, but I'm not saying that I'm anybody special, but I've done a valuable work without even having that training. So you basically, here's a saying that, who was it? Danny Glover told me. I spent a weekend with him at an event as a guest. And he said to me, he says, think about when you lie and tell the truth, you're acting. Think about that. If you're lying, you're acting. So you use that motto, Bob, you can probably vouch too, is it's acting. So if you can act, we're all not going to be A-lister actors. We're not going to be. We can be if we get enough work. But getting involved with Chris and Shatter, and it was like he said that he want to give people shots. I've had some acting before I got into Shatter, but this experience alone with him, I learned a lot. That 9-hour shoot with me and David. I can remember I would throw lines out there and I'll say, "Hello, David," and then we love that. So the improvising part is the most I love to do the most. Like Hillbilly Horror Show was mostly improv. I'll just make stuff up. But for anybody who wants to get into acting, don't frustrate yourself saying, "I need to find an agent. I need to find someone to represent me. I need to go to acting school." If you represent yourself on Facebook, you will find people just like Chris that you might have the look that will give you a chance to get yourself started. So don't stress yourself over thinking you're going to spend all this kind of money to get into business, because that's not totally true. So that's my motto on that. I've done many things unpaid or whatever, but if you like the art to get yourself out there, you have to sacrifice let's do it. And I enjoy everything I've done so far in my life.
There you have it. Well, gentlemen, I couldn't think of anything else to say on top of that. Like I said, this is episode 17. We've been at this for over a year now, and we've had the pleasure of speaking to filmmakers and actors such as yourself, all different countries at this point. And I'll say this: the hustle is real, the grind is real. Chase after your dreams, and never underestimate the power of a phone call or a direct message, because all they can say is no.
Right.
Other than that, I'm good. Thank you all for being on here today. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed Shatter. We'll be promoting it, and I'm going to be telling everybody that they need to check it out if they want to see some coffee spittle on somebody's face and some awesome shit. No,
you can't miss that.
If they want to see a fantastic film, I'm going to tell them about Shatter. It's going to be on my next recommendation list here for folks. So thank you all so much, and I look forward to the next project and having you all back.
Awesome. We appreciate the opportunity. It was a blast.
Thank you, everybody. You guys have a great day, okay?
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks a lot.